Now turn to the gentleman from North Dakota, Mr. Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks members of the panel for being here. And it's hard almost to know where to begin. I've heard so many things this morning, but I'm going to start with addressing from the North Dakota perspective this issue of whether or not new source performance standards for new plants affects jobs with existing plants, and let me assure you it does, because it is a further reflection of an attitude that has been pervasive by this administration that tells anybody interested in fossil fuel development, we're going to punish you as much as we can. And so if you're considering building a new plant or retrofitting an old plant, the odds are against you. And it's not like it's been a hidden agenda. It's been a pretty far out there agenda. I appreciate as well, I'm going to use this opportunity to put a few things into the record. That Mr. Walzer has referenced several times the Dakota Gas Synfuels plant at Beulah, North Dakota. I had the opportunity as an energy regulator for 10 years not only to oversee electric rates, but coal mining and pipeline development, and I cited the CO2 pipeline, much of it, that goes to Saskatchewan, and we're very proud of that project. The company that owns it, Basin Electric Power Cooperative, which is one of the largest G&T cooperatives in the country, also owns a lot of electric generation, coal combustion generation, right near Beulah. And they engaged with their own money in a demonstration project, 50% funded by Basin Electric's members and 50% funded by the state of North Dakota through a tax on coal, and concluded after the FEED study that it was in fact not demonstrated to be economical to do a carbon capture and sequestration project at this time. And this is in a community right on the edge of the Bakken where there's a lot of a commercial application for CO2 should it enhance oil recovery. Obviously, all the incentives are there, and yet even at that, they concluded by their study that it was in fact not feasible to do it. So I want to put into the record, Mr. Chairman, with your permission and the permission of the committee, a number of documents referencing this FEED study by Basin Electric. If that's acceptable, and then I have a question for the panel, because I think there is some premise for this. When we talk about this adequately demonstrated standard and other standards, you know, previous Clean Air Act rules, whether it's SOx, NOx, mercury, that have applied certain standards, has there been a different, or is there a benchmark or some historical lesson we could learn from previous rules and the availability of technology at that time versus what we're facing today? Is that a fair characterization for a reasonable question, Mr. McConnell? And would you be able to answer?
I think there's an interesting model to look at back into the 1970s when we were all concerned about SOx, NOx, mercury, and suspended particulate. The government and industry formed a successful partnership together, not at odds with each other, but partnered with each other to develop technology to reduce those criteria pollutants by 90% over the next 40 years, while we increase the amount of coal-generated power in this country by 200%. And that's through the miracle of technology. And in fact, I would hope that as we look to the future, we don't get simply bounded by what we know today in terms of performance and capabilities, but we're mindful of the fact that the investment for the future is really where we'll be and we'll need to be. And I certainly hope that rulings such as this don't promote a partnership between government and industry. They promote an adversarial circumstance and tends to block out an opportunity to advance coal, not promote it.
Doctor, would you agree?
I have concerns about the scale that we're talking about. I don't think the earlier technologies were as expensive as what we're discussing here. The earlier commentary about an energy penalty of 30% costs a lot of money when you're talking about $1 million per plant and excessive coal use. I agree with the Secretary. We need to find a way to move forward if we're going to solve this problem, and I think government support is essential.
With just the remaining few seconds I have, Mr. Walzer, if you could just answer this. You'd made reference that coal making this coal cost more, and I'm going to paraphrase it, you're going to have to straighten it out for me, but you're saying that this actually benefits the coal-generated electricity by positioning it well for when gas prices rise. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, how making it cost more positions it better should gas prices rise?
So let me be clear. I don't know
please.
what gas prices are going to do. They may go up, they may go down. But if we take this first step to begin the process of deploying CCS technology and pushing it further down the cost curve, that will benefit coal in the future.
I see. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
I would, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's been ruled on my request to place into the record these documents from Basin Electric.
Without objection.
Thank you.